Good to be here, guys. And since we're talking about NFL draft, I kind of wanted to ask, instead of doing like our regular rapid fire, I kind of wanted to ask you guys some questions here and kind of just get your thoughts of what might happen during the draft here. So,
All right.
oh, and I kind of going off of what Eric was talking about. I wanted to ask you guys because I want to put it here on the record. How many, and I'll start off with you, Gilbert, and then I'll go to Fernando. How many former Michigan players get drafted by the Chargers
Ah.
on Thursday on this weekend?
Fernando, real quick, a question. How many TCU guys went last year to them? Was it like 2 or 3?
How many what?
TCU guys.
Two. It was a quarterback and the receiver.
Three.
Three.
The returner,
All right.
Darius Davis.
You know what? I'll match it. 3 for Michigan for Jim Harbaugh's
Okay, so
draft class. I'll go with that.
Gilbert.
I'll go one.
One. Okay, so
Yeah.
Gilbert 3. I'm
I'll
writing
go
this down because I have a surprise for you guys.
I'm going based off of what I remember from Pete Carroll. I know that's not a good, but I remember even he didn't draft anybody when he went to Stanford the first time. From Stanford to the 49ers, he really didn't do that either. So
but he won the national championship. He has good players on there for Jim.
Oh, I know he does, but what if he thinks, okay, this is exactly where they're at? Let me go now and do this. So I don't know.
All right.
Yeah, no, and one of the things I saw, the reason I brought it up is because there was a lot of reports coming out that there was the Chargers liked a lot of the Michigan guys, and rightfully so. I mean, there's a lot of good linemen and defensive linemen. This was a really good defense that Michigan had. So next, so one of the things,
one that nobody's talking about is Roman Wilson. Are you guys really going with this whole beach crap? Like, what is the matter with you guys? Like, everybody's really going with this.
All right, they're gonna host a draft party at a nude beach in San Diego
next year. But I the one that nobody's talking about is Roman Wilson, and I feel like him or Jenkins, the D tackle, one of those two, I think, is going to end up being the guy that these guys take. Or, well, my bad. Okay, another one, the slot corner also.
There you go.
There's 3 then, or doing 3?
Either one of those 3.
I think it's one.
I have you as one. Are you?
Yeah, one. But I'd be surprised if Blake Corum is the guy. I think they're going to try and go somewhere else.
Okay. All right. So I have you. All right, guys. So, in preparation of this, since I've joined Compas on the Beat, one of the things I like to do right before the draft is watch Draft Day. It's not a great movie. We know that, right?
Watch it too.
Yeah. So, so last year I asked you guys this. So in honor of Draft Day, what player in this draft is your Bonte Mac no matter what? So the player you're leaving the draft, it doesn't matter. Like, this is your call. The player you're leaving without a doubt in this draft. Yes, you're starting off, Fernando.
Harrison Jr.
Okay.
Okay, that's pretty good.
Can you tell me why that is?
Yeah, no, I think you need a generational talent at receiver, and I think that's Marvin Harrison Jr., whether it's Arizona, whether it's the Chargers, or whether some other team jumps up. By the way, the mock drafts that have the Chargers at 5 sitting there and then pulling back and letting the Jets come up or somebody, I don't think that would happen at all. I think the Chargers would, if he's there, they're taking him no matter what. But I really think that Marvin Harrison Jr. is something special. Like I mentioned before, Michigan would beat Ohio State, and Marvin Harrison Jr. was still putting up numbers against them. On top of that, this year they didn't have a great quarterback, and he still put up big numbers. So I think Marvin Harrison Jr. is that guy that I would not let leave. I would draft him no matter. Heck, I think the first 4 teams are dumb for not taking him, but obviously they all need quarterbacks. But still,
see, I gotta criticize for now, because isn't Vontae Mack the guy that you had to push for when people didn't believe in the guy? Everybody believes in Marvin Harrison.
Look at Gilbert with
come on,
Gilbert really pulled one over me. Yeah, you're right.
Come on. Bo Callahan's the guy that's overrated, all right? But this one, you need to pound the table for. Okay, let me give you mine, and then give me a real one after that, Fernando. And mine's maybe it's not the best. Cooper or Dejounte.
No, Cooper G.
Cooper G. Yeah, you got to get the white guy. Anyway, so if somebody's watching, they're gonna get mad at me. But you know what? He's a high prospect, but I don't get why he's being rated number 3 quarterback. And every year I got my quarterback, my guy, the big, strong arm, athletic guy, smart guy. Last year, Anthony Richardson. This year is
you did. I was going to tell you. Do you remember who you went with, Fernando, last year?
Oh shoot. No, do you have
Okay,
it?
I'll tell you. Go ahead. Go ahead, Gilbert. I have it.
All right, for me, it's gonna be Drake May, and people are saying, "Oh, he's inaccurate, and maybe doesn't, doesn't not as athletic as the other guy, bad footwork." But I'm like, this guy's like 6'4", rocket arm. He has the intangibles, the skill set. Like we think about Justin Herbert. Remember, around all the lead up to the draft, Herbert's the number 3 quarterback in the draft, and people were like, "What are you talking about?" Yeah, he missed a couple of throws, but he has the rocket arm and the skill set. Same thing with Josh Allen. Yeah, he went to Wyoming. Well, if you have a good coaching staff, go groom the player, develop them, make them wait for a year, whatever it takes. But you bet on the upside. You bet on the skill set. And I'm gonna go with Drake May right here. I like Jaden Daniels. I get it, but smaller frame, more about more of a balanced attack with running and throwing. I want the pure pocket passer. I'm gonna bet on Drake May. And I don't get this hate for him. For me, and it's not totally hate, but it's like, oh yeah, he's missed a couple of throws. He's number 3 for sure. I'm like, he's not on the level of JJ McCarthy. McCarthy's the one like, you know what? I'll stay away from that. Drake May is my guy for number 2 quarterback behind Caleb Williams.
All right, Fernando. Do you want me to tell you who you went with last year first?
Yeah, I want to know.
You went with Peter Skoronski, who was moved to guard by the Titans.
They like him.
Yeah, I mean,
boring, but yeah.
Well, I mean, they're building their offensive line. If they take Joe Alt this year, that's
they have the left side.
Yeah. Jesus. All right. This guy, I think, has gotten hate because he used to be they're saying that he's a top 5 player, but because of his position, they keep on moving him around, and he's kind of gone lower. They have him going as low as 20. I'm going to go with Brock Bowers. I think Brock Bowers is going to be the guy that I like. I think he's a guy that really can do everything that you need from a tight end. He can catch, he can block, he can do all these things. And then, oh, hey, guess what? He kind of looks like a slot receiver sometimes when he moves as well. So I think he's going to be one of those players. If he really does go to the New York Jets, even though I'm going to be honest, the New York Jets, you guys need offensive line. I think you cannot. You're risking everything on a 40-year-old quarterback who's coming off an Achilles, 2 tackles that don't make it past they don't play more than 12 games, and then obviously Mike Williams is coming off the torn ACL. So I think they should look at offensive line, but I still think that Brock Bowers in any system is going to help. And with the right coaching, I think Brock Bowers is going to be that guy that I would not pass up if I was a team. I certainly wouldn't let him go.
Yeah, I think it's just hard just because people are starting to see where the tight end position being drafted. Is it a position of need? Do you really need to draft one in the top 10? I think that's the biggest thing. But
I just hate when people go, well, these are examples of tight ends that well, you never know. This could be the guy that kind of
has to be a fit.
Exactly. And I mean, some teams need a tight end. Again, I know that the Chargers have signed 2, but I mean, can you really count on Donald Parham if we're being completely honest? No, you can't. Like, he's been hurt. He had numerous drops last year where you're kind of like, dude, what is going on? So, and I know Will Dissly and the other guy that they signed,
Hayden Hurst.
Hayden Hurst, thank you. Yes. Hayden Hurst has had concussion issues. Will Dissly's a blocking tight end, but you don't have that receiving tight end that you kind of need to change the game. So, by the way, RIP to Darren Waller and Kelsey Plum's relationship. That was quick.
I can't believe he fumbled that bag. Sorry.
I'm telling you, sliding them DMs. By the way, she posted like a thing like when you change your job or you're like, hey, I'm joining whatever.
I'm free agent now, huh?
Yeah, she basically announced that she's a free agent.
Slide in.
And I know a lot of players out there are like, all right, but yeah, no, I all that commotion that Darren Waller wedding caused, and now it's over. But yeah, my bad. So yeah, Brock Bowers is my guy.
All right, continuing on with the draft day movie here. Is there a Bo Callahan in this draft class that teammates wouldn't show up for his birthday party? Do you guys want me to give you what you guys chose last year, or do you want me to tell you after you give the answer?
I want to hear it.
All right. Fernando went with Will Levis last year, the mayonnaise guy.
It's been good.
And Gilbert went with the guy who we haven't heard from, and that's Hendon Hooker.
There we go. So that means I got that right? Because it was supposed to
Yes,
be the okay, cool.
You're
yes.
talking about the quarterback. I can already tell you who mine is.
Oh, does it have to be a quarterback for this pick?
No,
Here?
No.
it does
Hendon
just
Hooker's a quarterback, right?
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. But it
Yeah.
doesn't have to be a quarterback. Just somebody
Oh.
like a prospect that teammates wouldn't show up to. His pretty much
Oh.
he's not gonna work out. He's gonna be a cancer kind of.
All
I'll
right,
make it
Gilbert.
harder.
Gilbert, choose mine. I think you know who I'm gonna go with.
Here, let's
Yours?
start off with
Oh
Fernando.
yeah. Okay, well, the wide receiver from Washington. Go ahead.
No,
Really?
No.
Caleb Williams.
Oh,
I
okay.
think
So you're
Caleb
going
Williams is the Bo Callahan.
Wow.
There's
Okay,
something.
people won't go to his party. I believe that part. Yeah.
There's a point. Jalen Johnson said, "You better not come in here with that Hollywood stuff." What does that mean? That means that people have already been talking. People have asked questions. Yeah, I think he's the guy. I'm gonna go with Caleb Williams on that one.
All right, Gilbert, you're up.
Oh man, this is tough. I want to say JJ McCarthy is getting a lot of love. I don't think he's gonna be he's not worth the top 5, top 10 pick, but I was impressed with the Alabama game. I told Fernando, that gives me some upside for him. He had a comeback, a playoff victory right there. You know what? I will go. I'm gonna stick. The quarterback. Give me Bo Nix, and I think hearing Eric Williams talk confirmed that for me. It's going to be a reach pick, especially if the Broncos take him at number 12. I'm up and down about the 5th-year, 6-year quarterback. Like obviously we see Brock Purdy. He's a president for the
around teams.
Yeah, so that stuff kind of concerns me. Like Brock Purdy is a president for the 5th-year guys. Okay, you can make it work, but like there's no high ceiling, there's no upside, and you won't have a Brock Purdy situation when you come into a star-studded cast with a good coaching staff. So if Bonus goes to the Broncos, it might not do well. He might be a backup quarterback for a long time, but I just don't see first round potential. I don't see franchise quarterback. I'm not saying I'm a college football expert. But going from Auburn to Oregon, I think I saw a video where I think Justin Herbert and Bo Nix played in college. That tells you how long he's been in college. So
they're almost around the same age too.
So those are red flags for me. And someone's gonna reach for him, and it might suck for the guy because he needs to be in a better system. And if it's the Broncos, and who are you gonna throw to? Fades to Cortland Sutton, who they might even trade because they don't have any assets besides him and Patrick Surtain II. So Bo Nix, I hate to do it to the guy, but he's gonna be my Bo Callahan. I don't know if he's a good person or not, so about the party stuff, but in terms of being maybe a potential reach pick, I would go with him.
Moy wants Justin Herbert with Kelsey Plum.
They can have their dog. Where does she have their dogs?
I don't know if he could handle all that though.
Yeah.
So,
why? Because you want to be the one to try?
Yeah. I mean, hey, I'll tell you what though, those kids would be generational talents right there if they had kids. But Jesse said Caleb Williams 100%. By the way, go ahead, Vic.
I can go on to the next question.
Okay, just real quick. Let me get this out because we have talked about it. Albert Breer of the MMQB on Arizona with the number 4 pick. I would start with Arizona at number 4. They've had 4 teams interested in that pick, and I know that general manager Monty Austinfort has told those teams, I am not trading the pick until I'm on the clock.
Wow.
Yep.
That makes sense. Make them desperate.
That is going to be, bro, I'm telling you, that's where the draft really starts. Like everybody's saying that the draft starts at number 1. No, hell no. The draft starts there with y'all are wild.
Yeah,
I
don't know.
At a beach in San Diego, they won't
you make it happen, Fernando.
I'm just saying, like, if anybody knows her, let her know.
All right,
but my bad. Go ahead,
since you brought up the GM there for the Arizona, I kind of asked the question while you guys were doing the interview with Eric Williams, and this has to do just with all the teams in the NFL right now. Which GM has the most at stake in this year's NFL draft?
I'm gonna go with Patton. You don't have a quarterback. You just got the Miles City MILF Hunter. You only have Cortland Sutton left. Where are you going to turn to when you go to where are you going to turn to now for quarterback? And then the other thing is, if we're being completely honest, what are you going to do with Patrick Surtain? They just picked up his 5th-year option. But let's be honest, like if you're Pat Surtain, do you really want to stay there? It looks like it's a rebuild. You're all pro, top two corner, and I don't think you're number two corner in the NFL. I think you're a generational talent for sure. But like, do you really want to stay there and be a part of all this, especially because it hasn't looked very good for them. So I'm really wondering what they're gonna do. But I George Patton, he has to do something because they don't have that many picks, and I know that they've come out and a lot of people have said they're willing to trade Patrick Surtain. Well, I'm sure the Chargers. Well, yeah, somebody already said trade him to us. I'm sure the Chargers wouldn't mind giving up the fifth pick for Patrick Surtain and their 13th overall pick and maybe a third rounder. But yeah, I just think that they Patton. I didn't think Patton should have survived the. I think I thought he should have gotten fired with what's his name with
Nathaniel Hackett.
Nathaniel Hackett. Thank you. I thought he should have gotten fired with him. He didn't. He's still there. I think it's still a mess. So and then he also made the trade for Russell Wilson. So I think that guy needs to go.
He must have blackmailed somebody because I don't get how he's still there. Like the second that Russell Wilson got let go, he should have been like.
I remember when that draft happened or that trade happened. Dan said once this fails, Patton should be gone, but he's not gone. He's still there. So I completely agree with you, Gilbert.
All right, for me, I'm gonna go with the New York Jets GM Joe Douglas. What have you really done? I get you got Sauce Gardner and you got Garrett Wilson, but outside of that, you got a couple good picks. You haven't done much. You haven't really won anything there. But New York, I can't remember the last time I went to the playoffs. Was Mark Sanchez years, right? Maybe around that time. They might have the streak for the longest non I guess playoff appearance or playoff drought to say in a better way. But Joe Douglas, if he goes skill player, I get it. It's hard to pass on a Brock Bowers, Roma Dunzia, Malik Neighbors.
What?
And it's harder to trust Mike Williams staying healthy. You want to make sure Garrett Wilson's in a good position to succeed, but you got to keep Aaron Rodgers healthy. You went all in for Aaron Rodgers. You got one more crack at it. You want to make it work because if Aaron Rodgers gets hurt or you don't make the playoffs, you're probably out. Woody Johnson can be like, you know what? That's enough. Robert Saleh, we gave you an opportunity. So I get it. You got some old veteran guys, tackles, and Tyron Smith, and I'm blanking. Was it Moses? I forget the other tackle.
Morgan Moses.
So they're older, and they're like a hit or an injury away from crumbling your offensive line. And I like what Eric said earlier when he mentioned a cornerback for the Rams. They spent a bunch of money on cornerbacks. You got to get younger. You got to have insurance. You need depth in the NFL. You need depth in the trenches.
Tre'Davious White hasn't made it through a season in how many years?
So people are kind of, you know what, forget about that. No, you can't forget. You can't focus on name. You can't focus on the past. It's all about building blocks, I guess, to go off of that. So get a tackle, get a guard. It's a loaded draft class for offensive linemen. Protect yourself. You never know. Maybe the guy has to play guard for a bit, but when the injury happens, move him over to tackle. If they're going to be a first round pick, they better learn how to play guard on the spot or tackle. People get caught up in positions and things like that. And just get somebody to protect your guy in case of emergency, because that happened. And how many seconds? 12 seconds into the NFL season last year for Aaron Rodgers.
Play, yeah. And the other underrated thing, we've talked about it. Fernando has talked about it. The field at MetLife. I mean, I don't understand why people aren't talking about that. Like, eventually it's going to become grass there, but we've seen the injuries, and you have to bring in young players, and you're relying to play Tyron Smith, Morgan Moses with older guys on that turf. Good luck. And so I totally agree. And then with Fernando too, I mean, the Broncos are on the clock too with their GM as well. I mean, eventually, we've talked about this, but Payne's legacy's on the line, and he's not going to be the one that takes the fall. I think it'll be Patton if it's if he doesn't get this draft right.
Oh, so Sean Payton has 4 years left on his contract.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah, and he's making way too much money. But remember, Chargers fans, you guys wanted that guy. You wanted the Chargers to trade for him, and now that was the funniest part. That I remember a lot of us preach patience to fans, and no, we should get Sean Payton. But I mean.
Yeah, same thing with the Cowboys. Everybody thought he was going to get the Cowboys job, and I mean, he probably should have waited, but at the same time, I'm sure Charger fans are happy that that didn't happen. All right, last one for me, guys, is what team with a veteran quarterback will trade back into the first round to draft a developmental quarterback like we've seen the Packers do?
Ooh. So I'm going first now?
Yes.
Is there a developmental quarterback? I guess because
I mean, there's a team in LA that might want to start looking for one.
it's just I don't know. I feel like if you go Bo Nix, Michael Penix Jr., what are you waiting for? These guys they're 30-year-olds, man. Like they could play right now. You're not like you get what you get. They're 30-year-olds. And then with McCarthy, the team that drafts some top 5, top 10, he's gonna play right away. I feel like JJ McCarthy should be the one to develop, wait a year, but if you pick him in the number 10, top 10, he's not gonna wait. So it's a tough one. There's not like a Jordan Love in this draft class or even like a Jalen Hurts. So somebody has a lot of upside, but you make sure you wait on because it's such an antsy league. But just to give you an answer, it's got to be JJ McCarthy for me. He didn't play much, or he did play. He won the national championship.
No, I
He
meant
wasn't
what
he wasn't
team,
used
like
enough.
what team is gonna trade up? Like what team will trade or
Yeah,
draft a
I'm getting
quarter?
too technical, so it will be the Vikings and the
Okay,
one
there you
player
go.
I see that needs to develop, and maybe they got Sam Darnold for that reason to make sure you know what you got to be the bridge. JJ, we like the upside, but that guy's not ready to play. He's Jordan Love. You got to make sure you got to build that skill set because like, he's an unknown guy. In a way, that's really helping him out. And the being 21 years old, throwing 10 passes per game, handing off 40 times per game. You just don't know with the guy. Alabama game though, that really impressed me. Maybe impressed the Vikings guys. They got a good system. I think we talked about Fernando, Kevin O'Connell, good coaching staff. You got 2 wide receivers in Jefferson and Jordan Addison. You got Hawkinson. So I think they could afford the wait. If like their jobs are not on the line with Kevin O'Connell and
Ooh.
Kwesi, the GM, I say you go and you wait out with JJ McCarthy.
Yeah, and
I'll
I'll just
go
say this. I
New York
think
Giants. Oh my
one of
bad.
yeah, before you go, Fernando, one of the things that I've heard a lot, and it's starting to make sense for me as why the JJ McCarthy hype has been big. It's because everybody is looking now for the next Mr. Irrelevant. They want that guy that can run that 49ers offense. And
Yeah.
JJ McCarthy is that type of player, and that's why he's risen. So now you've gone from
With
a
Minnesota,
Mr.
it makes sense with all those
Yeah,
weapons.
exactly. So that's
Yeah.
why it makes sense for you. All right, Fernando, go ahead.
Yeah, I'm gonna go with the Giants. The Giants. I know that the regime now they didn't draft Daniel Jones, but I know that they still paid him and they can get out after this year. Why not bring in a quarterback to develop? Keep him far away from Daniel Jones though. Let him do his own thing, develop him, and then bring him in. But
Well, they brought in a backup
yeah,
that should
yeah,
start. Sorry.
yeah. No, no, I completely agree.
Was it
But
Drew
Vic,
Lock? That's
Yes,
Dan's
Drew Luck.
boy.
that was
Yes.
that. Yeah, exactly.
The
That was Vic. That was fun. I completely forgot that we did that last